Now we're going to test this circuit here, the main regulator valve and sleeve. It looks like it's pretty wore, so we're going to check it. Put the circuit block on there and see what it reads here. Sometimes it's tough to get to read a vacuum. Once in a while you have to put a little bit of oil or grease on the block. This is tough to do with one hand. Just gonna put a little bit of oil on there. Now, looks like it's sucking air there. Anyway, sometimes this thing doesn't seal for shit. Alright, I think I got it sealed up. Nope, maybe not. Tell you what, this sucker's tough to seal. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's not reading very good vacuum, so I'd say it's got some leaks. I'm going to do another trick here. I'm going to squirt some oil down in that valve and see if that seals anything up at all. Yeah, it didn't make much difference. Still ain't pulling very good vacuum. That's definitely an issue there. It should be a lot more. It should be more like 18 to 20. That'd be a lot better. 6 ain't gonna cut it. Alright, I put some grease, translube grease stuff on this valve here and then on this one here. So we're going to see if that makes the circuit any tighter. It should be pretty obvious if it did. And get it to seal up again. Oh yeah, look at that. Now it's starting to drop back off. The stuff's starting to come through. Trans gel. It made a huge difference initially. So it's definitely wore. Just keeps dropping. So putting the trans gel in those valves, if you're looking for a wore circuit, a circuit that's wore, obviously, they're like the bore in this pump housing is definitely wore. It doesn't really look like there's much wear on the valves themselves, except for this one here. There's a valve inside this sleeve that's pretty wore. You can see it's pretty wore, but the bore inside here, it's probably a little wore. It's kind of hard to tell because you can't really see in there very good, but it definitely is wore if it's not holding much vacuum. This one here wasn't holding much either, but doing the same thing I did with the other one, with this one here, putting the trans gel on there, and made it seal up and held more vacuum for a short period of time. Then it started dropping down. So that's one way to tell if you're not sure if you're going to get a good seal around this area where you're trying to test a circuit. You can put trans gel on this too sometimes, or oil like I did, and it'll help seal it up, because sometimes it doesn't seal very good. And then if you want to make sure that your circuit is really an issue, putting that trans gel on the valves and stuff can help seal them up temporarily to see if that's really the issue. After you've cleaned them up, you can see what it's like if you put that stuff on there. Sorry if I'm trying not to confuse you. Alright, I'm working on the main regulator valve in the pump, and this seems to have some wear in it. And what I've done is put some trans gel assembly lube in there to seal it up some, to see if that's really what the problem was, and I think that's probably what the problem is it's just simply wore. I was thinking I wasn't getting a good seal on this block, but I don't think that's the issue. So what I'm doing is pulling this valve out of its bore a little bit, and it's making the vacuum go up a little. It's probably sealing better where it's not as wore. It was reading a lot higher, but it's pulled some of that trans gel out of there, so it's probably losing some of its seal. Now, when I was testing this circuit earlier, I forgot to mention that I did have an issue with this truck trying to stall, and when I put it in reverse, it felt like the torque converter clutch was trying to engage. That's kind of what it sounded like. And I did have issues with the transmission overheating, so I don't know, as much as this is leaking, this circuit's leaking, I'm wondering if this was causing some issues too with that. It seemed like it would usually try to stall if it was low on transmission fluid because it leaked pretty bad, and sometimes it's set for a while, and if we had to move it after it'd been set, and if we had to move it for some reason and we didn't fill it back up with fluid, it seemed like it would try to stall out. I don't know why that would make any difference with it being low versus being full, but I don't know. Anyway, that was an issue. So regardless, I'm replacing the whole pump and getting a completely rebuilt pump, so there's really no sense testing the other circuits. These other circuits here, I didn't really have any lockup shutter problems or any of this stuff. I just had an issue with the engine trying to stall out in reverse. That's really the only trouble I had with that. Outside of that, everything else seemed to work okay, except for the no engine braking in first gear. It seemed to shift okay. It wasn't the greatest, but it would get hot on a hot day just pulling its own weight, and I think the truck weighed like 11,500 pounds with the service box on it.